life is about finding your source. For me, I discovered many years after I was on the planet that Mauritius is where I came from. Descending into Mauritius is the closest any of us will ever get to paradise. And finding my family was altogether unique. The thoughts of immortality while I travel hound me. Sometimes you sit in a quiet cemetery and all you can think about is simply nothing, still your mind. And that is what you get out of it. As we embarked upon this beautiful journey along the fjords, I wondered how many people with their cameras actually observed the nuance of design, the shadows, the voids, or is everything simply an Instagrammable moment? I hope not. People we meet along our journeys cannot help but wonder who they'd be if they weren't where they are. In Morocco, I chanced upon a young boy who reminded me of Aladdin, the street rat, who enchantedly created a whole world of magic in the beautiful bazaars. Time travel at its best. Is perfection perfect, or can we be imperfectly perfect? This beautiful church bombed during the Second World War reminds us that probably we are most beautiful at our most fragile parts, aren't we not? Portugal is a rhapsody of color and magic. The Tagus River and 7 Miraduras vantage views create sweeping views from the water to the hills. 7 hills like Rome create a symphony of form and magic that's seductive. The Black Beach in Iceland, the most stark experience one would ever have, one which enters into the soul and asks the question, why am I even here? The Crystal Beach on the right, pieces of glacier thrown onto the Black Beach, moving and soul-stirring. A little speck of land is Iceland, thrown in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and it does not follow the rules. Its architecture, its nature has decided to be inimitably unique. Norway and Iceland, 66 degrees north and away from every other landmass, creates folklore, creates legend, creates the trolls, creates the hidden people, stories that abound in the mind and imagination. Are they true or are we real? Which one? Petra, a beautiful landscape, 1.5 kilometers of weathered walls as you enter the inner sanctum. The Dead Sea, the world's most beautiful and curative waters, and the heavenly Red Sea, Moses and the Exodus swim in it. The most wonderful natural wonder of the Middle East, 14 kilometers of underground caves, the crystalline stalagmites and stalactites of Lebanon, the underwater wonder, and the food, not a close second. Stockholm in the summer. Look at the light, gentle, benign, loving. There and simply not there. The quality of light as it plays with this archipelago of 300 islands is the most waterborne experience you will ever have. Fika, that's what the Swedes call it, to sit down and refill a drained soul with conversations with strangers, sometimes more poignant than conversations with your friends. Sit and ponder as a spectator of life. An anonymous one. Cambodia, ravaged by civil war, the largest genocide in the world after the Holocaust, 3 million people killed. Angkor Wat, 400 acres of magic, of nature and architecture intertwined, and yet the soul of the people, absolutely divine. Cape Town, significant coastline, the meeting of 2 completely polar opposites. The Indian Ocean meets the Atlantic. But the sound of those drums, the African drums and the xylophone, the rhythm of the night as one walks through the streets. Africa, in all its glory. Have you ever witnessed a perfect sunset? Kenya, the majestic, untamed wilderness of Africa, cannot help but touch your soul. Look into the lion's eyes and see power at its best. India, the beautiful, majestic, sublime India, the Falaknuma in Hyderabad, the manicured gardens, the gentle, melodious flowing of the fountains, the 110-seater. India, its kings, its majestic royalty, its decadence. Nobody does it better, but nobody. And then there's the other India, the India of idiosyncrasy, the India of humor, the gentleman on the cycle, architectural perfection, form and proportion at its best and yet effortless. The India that seeps into your soul with all its idiosyncrasy. Always surprised by India. You can travel around the world and have platters of reindeer and whale and shark and herring and pickled oysters, and then you can come home to a meal, sumptuous, filled with what you grew up with, and that is food for the soul. That is what coming home is really all about. My grandmother, her dream was to write a book. She passed on 4 months ago. I embarked upon this mission with her to fulfill her dream, and I must say, this was my life's most worthy moment. You can travel the world over, and yet, when you look into the eyes of someone you love, that's when you know you're really home. So live your lives, drink deeply from that beautiful cup of life, because you're only as good as how you've lived.